Hey everybody, Patrick Cowan here again, and we've had great feedback on our first training video, but we have had a few questions come in. So today we're going to make another video for you guys that are going to answer some of these questions or common questions that have come in. And for the first part, the primary thing is just simply language that we use, as well as things you find on your pension statement. So first thing is we're just going to explain a couple things and what they mean. And the first one is your pension partner or your spouse. Okay, this is important because on your pension statement and when you are making your pension choices, as well as naming your pension partner, you have to know what it means. So basically, it's either your spouse or someone who is spouse-like in your life. And the reason that this is important because they actually have rights to your pension plan alongside you, specifically after you pass away. So make sure that you have that in place and you know what that means when you're going in and doing your planning. Pension partner. The second one is beneficiary. I think I spelled that right. The beneficiary is different. The beneficiary is who they refer to for your death benefits. So if you were to pass away, your pension would go then to your spouse or partner. If you do not have a partner, you can name a beneficiary who would then receive the death benefit of your specific pension plan. Now, this is very broad. It can be done in a number of ways and a number of calculations. But the important thing to know is if you have a beneficiary and it is important to your planning to name one, then name a beneficiary. Okay. Third is dependent. Okay. If you do not have a beneficiary or a spouse or partner that you want to name, you can name a dependent in a joint situation. Now, the one thing to make sure of when you're doing this is you are understanding, or you understand their definition of a dependent and that this person meets that criteria. And again, they would receive the joint benefit just like a partner or a spouse. Okay. Lastly, we have a lot of questions about clarifying the 85 index. Okay. Now, the important thing that I want to mention is that the 85 index is simply a criteria for measuring where you are in your career according to your pension plan. So if you meet your 85 index or criteria, this simply means that you will not have a reduction in pension payment because you haven't retired early. So basically, this is the addition of two numbers, your age and years of service. Okay. So if you say started working when you were 25 and you want to retire at 55, where would you be? You would have 25 years of service you'd have 30 years of service from 25 to 55, and your age at retirement would be 55. Here you would meet the 85 index on your birthday or your anniversary of starting work. So that's how that works, but it is simply a measurement for them to gauge where you are in regards to retirement. Okay. Now, lastly, we did cover this, but withdrawal rate. We covered it very quickly. Okay. And this is more of a financial term that we use to gauge the margin for safety on paying you at your retirement income. Okay, so like we said earlier, the withdrawal rate is the percentage of your overall portfolio that you would withdraw each year. Okay. And what they say, or the safe metric, is anywhere less than 4.5% is very, very healthy when it comes to paying yourself a retirement income. And this is a percentage, not an absolute value. So if you were to have $1 million, 4.5% would be 45,000. Okay. And the reason that this is what they call safe or healthy is because to recover this, a 4.5% return every year is not outlandish. Okay, it is actually very modest. Average market returns here in North America are around 7%. Okay, over a long period of time. Okay, but this works anyway. So if we were to cut this down to 500,000, okay, 4.5% would be exactly half of that. So 22,500. Okay, so this is the percentage that we look at to see if we're in the ballpark for a healthy retirement and a healthy pension plan. Okay, so those are some terms that we had questions on, and I hope that cleared things up for you a little bit. Okay, the second thing that we want to go over is some things to avoid. Okay, there's some common mistakes that people make throughout their career and then leading up to retirement with regards to how they treat their pension plans. And the first thing is, while you're working, you have to understand what kind of plan you have. And there are two common plans: defined benefit and defined contribution. In a defined benefit plan, your employer is responsible for calculating how much you will be paid in retirement, but they are also responsible for contributing to the plan and investing it for you. You really do not have a big role to play in that. Some examples of that are the Alberta Teachers, Nova Chemicals here in Central Alberta, LAPP, things like that. So that's a common type of plan. The other common type of plan is defined contribution, where you are responsible for making the contributions, or your employer is responsible, but however that is managed over the course of your career equals the potential income of your retirement. So the most important thing of a defined contribution plan is how it is invested throughout the course of your career, i.e. 25 years, 30 years, however long your career is. So here, specifically, you have to make sure it is invested appropriately. Because just as we said before, this has to grow to a healthy point to be sustainable for you in retirement. And if you do not do this, the results will be lower at retirement, and you'll have less income potential once you get there. So I hope that's clear. Do not ignore it. Make sure it is invested appropriately. Now the last thing is, and we've already said it, don't ignore this stuff. Okay? Know how your pension plan is being managed. Know what it is capable of. Know what the restrictions are. Okay? One thing being the beneficiary. Okay? As we said earlier, if something were to happen to you, okay, before you retire, you have to have a beneficiary named for that death benefit to be appropriate. So we've talked about, as you enter retirement, how your pension is treated and what happens. But if something happens to you before you retire, you have to name the appropriate beneficiary for that to transfer to them. Okay? If you have a spouse or things like that, usually they will make sure that it is your spouse at the bare minimum. But if not, or if you want to name an alternate beneficiary, make sure you do that. right? There are large tax implications for having it go through your estate versus going to your beneficiary. Okay, so don't ignore this stuff. This stuff is important to keep track of, right? So thanks for sticking with me, and I hope that helped.